One man spent 2 years eating an airplane. Another hiccuped through 2 marriages, 8 children, and nearly 7 decades. The third stayed underwater for more than 29 minutes without taking a breath. They sound invented. Guinness World Records documented every one of them. Michel Lotito grew up in Grenoble, France. As a teenager, he discovered that he could swallow things that would send almost anyone else directly to a hospital. The discovery reportedly began after a drinking glass broke. Lotito tried a fragment, then gradually moved from glass to screws, chains, razor blades, and other pieces of metal. Doctors associated his appetite with pica, a condition involving cravings for things that are not food. Yet examinations never produced one simple biological explanation for everything his body appeared able to tolerate. Lotito turned the ability into a stage career under the name Monsieur Mangetout, Mr. Eat Everything. This was not a magic trick in which the object secretly disappeared. He used power tools to reduce objects into tiny pieces, then swallowed those pieces with large amounts of water and mineral oil. It was slow, deliberate, medically dangerous work, not a challenge anyone should imitate. In 1977, he consumed a bicycle in 15 days. A later attempt took 12. Soon the list included televisions, shopping carts, chandeliers, beds, skis, and a computer. Then came the object that transformed an unusual performer into a global legend, a Cessna 150, an actual 2-seat light aircraft made from aluminum, steel, rubber, glass, fabric, and wiring. Lotito did not sit down and eat the airplane at one enormous dinner. From 1978 to 1980, it was dismantled, cut into manageable fragments, and consumed piece by piece. The process took approximately 2 years. Photographs of Lotito calmly sitting beside aircraft parts made the story look like an elaborate joke, but Guinness included the achievement in its record books. By the end of the 1990s, he was reported to have eaten 18 bicycles, 15 shopping carts, 6 chandeliers, 2 beds, and nearly 9 tons of metal during his lifetime. He even consumed the brass plaque Guinness gave him. Strangely, Lotito claimed that ordinary soft foods such as bananas and boiled eggs caused him more discomfort than metal did. Guinness eventually retired the strangest diet category. It was dangerous to copy and impossible to judge objectively. Lotito's historical record remains, but nobody is invited to compete for it. Michel Lotito chose to build a career around his impossible ability. Charles Osborne never chose the event that placed his name in the record book. In 1922, Osborne was a 28-year-old farmer in Iowa. While attempting to weigh a heavy hog, he fell. Soon afterward, he began to hiccup, and the attack did not properly end for 68 years. A physician later suggested that the fall had damaged a tiny part of Osborne's brain involved in suppressing the hiccup reflex. It remained a theory, not a definitive diagnosis. At first, Osborne reportedly hiccuped as often as 40 times per minute. The rate later slowed, but the involuntary contractions continued through the day and into the night. He learned a breathing technique that reduced the familiar sound. The hiccups were still happening. He had simply trained himself to inhale between them so other people noticed them less. Eating was more difficult. Sleeping was interrupted. Every conversation required adjustment. Yet photographs of Osborne show a composed man who refused to let the condition become his entire identity. He married twice and fathered 8 children. His hiccups continued through family meals, birthdays, workdays, illnesses, celebrations, and all the ordinary moments from which a life is built. The world around him changed almost beyond recognition. Radio entered American homes, commercial television arrived, humans walked on the moon, and computers began moving into offices. Osborne was still hiccuping. He traveled repeatedly for medical treatment, including 4 trips to Omaha. Some attempts appeared to help briefly, but the hiccups always returned when he went home. His longest reported pause lasted around 50 hours. Friends tried to frighten the hiccups away. Doctors tested increasingly desperate remedies. Thousands of strangers mailed suggestions after reading about him. None of those ideas provided a lasting cure. Osborne instead adapted his meals, his breathing, and his routines to a condition that medicine could describe but could not reliably stop. Guinness World Records recognizes his case as the longest attack of hiccups. Estimates vary, but the total number across 68 years reaches into the hundreds of millions. Then, one morning in February 1990, the hiccups stopped. There was no dramatic final treatment and no clear explanation. After most of a lifetime, the relentless rhythm was simply gone. Osborne died the following year. His record is extraordinary not because he performed a stunt, but because he constructed an ordinary human life around something almost impossible to endure. Charles Osborne spent decades trying to make an involuntary reflex stop. Vitomir Maričić trained for months to delay the body's most urgent command: breathe. On June 14, 2025, the Croatian freediver entered a controlled pool in Opatija. His target was the Guinness record for the longest voluntary underwater breath hold by a man. One fact must be clear. Before the official attempt, Maričić breathed pure oxygen and took his final breath from an oxygen tank. This is a defined Guinness category, not an ordinary breath hold after breathing room air. The oxygen preparation greatly increased the amount available to his body. It did not remove the danger, the crushing diaphragm contractions, or the mental discipline required to remain submerged. Maričić had trained for 9 months. He was already an experienced freediver and a member of Adriatic freediving, not an amateur testing a viral stunt in an unsupervised swimming pool. Guinness required controlled conditions. ADA freediving judges were present, and a dedicated safety team monitored him continuously while pool noodles supported his body at the surface. Maričić floated face down, barely moving. Above him, officials watched the clock. Below the surface, his heart rate slowed, and his body began conserving oxygen for the organs that needed it most. As carbon dioxide accumulated, the body's demand to breathe intensified. His diaphragm began contracting repeatedly, producing a physical alarm that training could manage but never completely silence. After passing 20 minutes, Maričić later said the attempt became mentally easier, even while it grew physically worse. He knew that panic would consume oxygen faster than stillness. The previous record stood at 24 minutes and 37 seconds. Maričić passed it, then remained underwater for almost another 4.5 minutes. The final time was 29 minutes and 3 seconds. When he lifted his face from the water, he stood, removed his goggles, and acknowledged the room instead of collapsing in panic. He had extended one of the most recognizable human body records by nearly 5 minutes. He also used the attempt to draw attention to ocean conservation, linking personal endurance to the environment in which he trained. The achievement was real, controlled, and officially measured. It was also extremely dangerous. Breath hold attempts can cause unconsciousness, seizure, brain injury, or death, and should never be copied without professional supervision. An airplane eaten piece by piece, a hiccup attack lasting most of a lifetime. A single breath stretched beyond 29 minutes. Which Guinness record feels the most impossible to you?